Is it good to never give up and to always persevere? Okay. You're arguing with your significant other, your boyfriend or girlfriend. Is that a good personality trait to have?
Yep.
You never give up, you never quit.
Yes.
And that's why you are single. Yes. This is the idea that if you're two, that's not the only reason. Okay? But there is that thing about changing a person. I wonder at what point we're changing we're going to change a person for their benefit versus for our own benefit. I mentioned last time the SpongeBob buddy at a funeral. Yes? Yeah. At what point do you finally sit there and go, no, you're not going out like that because I don't want people to see you that way. And of course there is the thing of if people see you that way and I'm with you, then they're going to assume some things about me as well. And so I wonder at what point we draw that line between what's for their benefit versus your own benefit. But I was going to talk about this thing about versions and expressions. I was talking about last period. We use that language all the time about bringing the best version of yourself. But if I were to ask you what the version of you is, what that exactly means, and I would suggest that maybe it's more about bringing the best characteristics of yourself to the right situations rather than bringing the best versions of ourselves. So for example, you're a person who perseveres and doesn't give up, right? You never quit. Are those good personality traits to have? Okay. You go to the gym. Is it good to never give up and to always persevere? Okay. You're arguing with your significant other, your boyfriend or girlfriend. Is that a good personality trait to have?
Yep.
You never give up, you never quit.
Yes.
And that's why you are single. Yes. This is the idea that if you're two, that's not the only reason. Okay? Don't kill yourself. If you bring the wrong personality traits to the wrong context, those personality traits can be a very negative thing. And this is the problem, is that some people just don't know how to pull back from the right time, the right thing to do. And that's what wisdom is. Wisdom is to know what to do and when to do it. Should you go north or should you go south? Well, wisdom is, knowledge is to know what north and south are. Knowledge is to know where you want to go. But wisdom is to know which one that you're going to choose in the right situation. If you want to go to Sacramento, you wouldn't go south, you'd go north. If you want to go to TJ, you wouldn't go north, you'd go south. So wisdom is to know the right situation, the right context, and to bring those specific personality traits. There's a time to be humble. I haven't found it yet, but I've heard there's a time to be humble. There's a time to persevere and to not quit. I have learned it's not during an argument with your significant other. That's probably not a good time. Having said that, you also don't want to be the person who just rolls over every time there's an argument, because how can you respect a person like that? Let me answer the question for you. You cannot respect a person like that. You have to be a person who stands for things, and yet to also know when that give and take is, that things don't always have to be your way. And so when you want to change a person, are there reasons for us to change? Yes. Are there reasons that you'd want somebody else to change? Yeah. What if there are 15 things that are just absolutely fantastic about the person, but there's just one little deal breaker? Well, we don't like hearing it, but remember, sometimes the tunes just don't fit the chords. It might be, if it's a deal breaker, it's a deal breaker. Oh, but everything else is perfect. Sucks, doesn't it? But that's all you can say. Because you might want to try to force the other person to change. Now, if the other person sees it and they want to change and they put effort into changing, well then yeah, absolutely, 100%, of course. But if you're kicking against the goats, man, good luck, because it's going to be a lifetime of that kind of a thing. That's why it's dangerous for us to always present this persona and pretend to be the things that we aren't actually. Because the persona that you present might be the person that somebody else falls in love with. And then surprise, surprise, when you reveal yourself to be somebody else, and they say, "Wow, you've changed." You haven't changed, except in your expressions. You are exactly who you've always been, which is somebody who hides who they actually are. And that's the really hard thing now, because now at some point you may be deep in a relationship and say, I want them to know this one thing about me, but if they know this, they might not like me anymore. Yeah, life is suffering, isn't it? You can choose what you're going to suffer for. You're going to suffer for being known, taking the risk, or are you going to suffer for having to try to hide it your whole life? Best advice probably is to share it, because if the person loves you, then they're probably going to, work through that one thing with you probably. And that's how you form love, really. We've talked about that stuff. It's to be known and to be accepted, and to know somebody else and to accept them. There are some things that you can't accept just the way they are. It's true. They say, well, if you really love a person, okay, if you want to use language like that. But if you guys were dating Jeffrey Dahmer, and all of a sudden you found out what was in his fridge, would you sit there and go, you know what? Let's have dinner and talk. Okay, let's go out for dinner and we'll talk about it. Let's not eat what's in the fridge. Yeah, you don't accept a person no matter what. But there are those kinds of relationships you do have with people where you'll defend them and protect them and all that. But if there's a thing about you that you feel like it needs to be improved upon, well, then you just improve upon it. There are times when you just don't even know that you need to be improved upon. SpongeBob Hoodie at the funeral doesn't probably know that he needs to improve that. No one's told him, and you won't know until someone tells you. And sometimes, as you said about effort, it might take several attempts to get it right, because you've been living your whole life a certain way. Paying attention to details is one of them. And by the way, this is a really important one. You want people to notice things. Nothing says love like knowing how you like your cheeseburger, right? Knowing what colors, knowing a person's favorite color is one thing, but knowing their coffee order, that's something completely different. And so, texting back, some people are terrible at it. I'll say I am horrible at texting back. There's like 3 people in the world who I'm good at texting back, and that's pretty much it. When I mentioned that earlier, I was going through my head thinking, shoot, I have a message from somebody from 2 weeks ago who asked me why I drive my car instead of my truck more now. Yeah, how long would it take me to respond to that? Yeah, so far, almost. Yeah. Every Sunday I try to set time aside to respond to emails and text messages and things like that. So if anybody sends me a message, I will get back to you. I just responded to somebody, like a month ago who asked me how I felt about the riots that were happening. Back in 2020. And the person responded back and said, no worries, Scanlon, I knew you'd get back to me eventually. Because I don't just want to say, sad, send. If you ask me a question, you're gonna get an answer. There's a good chance I'm going into Word, I'm typing out a response. And I'm thinking of one I just sent out. It was 3 pages in Word, and I emailed it to myself. And then you have to copy and paste it into the because it won't take the whole thing in Instagram, So you have to email it in chunks. Well, I'm sorry, send it in chunks. I'll get back to you. But if you might think like, yeah, but it takes you a long time, but really detailed, anything you ask me. So here's the thing. Do you want it to be quick, or do you want it to be detailed? Some of you guys know, right? Bueno, bonita, barato. You can pick 2. Which ones do you want? Do you want it to be good? Do you want it to be pretty, or do you want it to be fast? You can't have all 3. Pick 2. You can get it good and fast, but it won't be pretty. Get it pretty and good, but it won't be fast. Or fast. Sorry, inexpensive. Sorry. It can be cheap, or it can be good, or it can be fast. Which ones do you want? Cheap and fast, it won't be good. Good and fast, it won't be cheap. Which ones do you want? And people are like that. People are like those Jenga puzzles, where if you take out that one thing and you say, well, just be faster about it. Okay, but you'll get fewer attention to details. Some people are really good, they can do both. Anybody like this? It takes you a long time to respond? Does it irritate you when you finally respond and they respond like in a minute, boom, like a paragraph? Like, what? How? It took me a month. Yeah. So again, it's just finding out which tunes fit the right chords, I guess. So, questions, comments, concerns, complaints, criticisms, critiques? Yeah.